What is poppin' squad? Your boy Jesimein. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're going to be discussing whether or not video game delays are a good thing or a bad thing for the community and for the game in general. Now, first things first, let me square this off. My opinion, I'm just going to tell you from jump, is I feel delayed games are good only if the product is exactly what they said it was going to be after whatever delays they took. Like, if you take one delay, you better fix whatever problem that you feel you had and put out the product that you promised. Especially if you do extended delays like Cyberpunk 2077, which is why I put up this gameplay. You better have your craft put down to the T. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand when it comes to development process, when it comes to setbacks, especially COVID, you got to cut them some slack. So let's get into it. So first things first, I played Division 2 and I played Division as my main source on my channel. Those were two games that were like pretty much roasted for the idea that they came out broken, things weren't working as intended, features and this, that, and the third. People think that that would have changed had it been, I guess, cooked for a little bit longer, had it been put in a position where they had more resources put to it, and whatever the case may be. I feel nowadays, since these games are getting more and more ambitious, they're getting bigger. And as far as content, as far as accessibility, as far as features, as far as graphics, as far as like complexity and depth in the game, since the games are getting deeper, they're going to take more time. But a lot of developers have these crazy crunch time windows that they have to push out content to make it for the holidays. For example, like the next gen, you want to be a part of the new wave, you want to be part in here, you want to have the cosmetics, you want to have the layout, you want to be able to, you don't want to stick to the live game service kind of formula that everybody's had, which was kind of the downfall of Division. It's because people want the product to be done when it's in their hand, not work over progress as kind of the developers want it to be. So I'm gonna give you guys my insight as a consumer, and then I'll give you guys my understanding insight. So as a consumer, I can totally understand. When you go and buy a bag of hot Cheetos, you expect it to be a bag of hot Cheetos. You know what it is, you know what's advertised, you know what to expect. You want the complete product if you're gonna spend whatever amount of money on it. Now, we're not gonna get into detail about what games should cost if they're going to be complete or whatever the case may be. We're just going to go off of the fact that games are $60 to $100 with like DLC type things, whatever the case, like Ultimate Editions. So let's say you're going to go buy a game for $60. I can understand as a consumer that you want a game that works, you want a game that's playable, you want a game that promises from the trailers that you watch, because when you usually buy a game, you usually do a little bit of research. I very seldom see people blindly buy a game just off of word of mouth without actually looking it up. We have too much information, too much video circulation for that kind of formula anymore. So usually you know what you're pretty much getting. It's not like back in the day where if they didn't do too much promo on it, you don't know what to expect or how stuff's supposed to work, so you just play it. Now you're purchasing something, and our community, I'm saying community as gaming as an entirety, are kind of spoiled. And I feel they're kind of like entitled. And when I say that I'm talking about all of us. We kind of expect now things to be perfect, right? You have all these patches and all this work, it should be perfectly fine. I can understand that because you're spending your money, whether $60 is worth developers' time or not. That's pretty much, depending on how they price it. Do I think so? No, because I believe the developers put in stupid amounts of time for a product, but then again, the publishers make a lot of money when it comes to video games, so it's kind of a trade-off. So that's as far as I can go as a consumer, because there's really not much. The common consumer doesn't know how hard it is to develop a system which works with missions and all this without breaking 17 other things and having to balance and nerf and all this stuff. That is just so much development process, and there's a reason why those dudes get paid that much, is because it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? And I can totally understand why people like CD Projekt Red want to extend this game so far, because they want everything to be as ambitious as the hype train, right? Nobody wants to be the game that was overhyped. Anthem, you know what I'm saying? There's just certain things you don't want to do. I feel Division and Division 2 were two games that I felt if they had this kind of delay, like courage, because you got to think about it, man. In this society with Twitter and all that stuff, it's super dangerous to pull something off as far as delaying over and over and over and over without the community trying to come at you like crazy, So I feel like if Division and Division 2 took that approach, it would have been a whole different world for them, but at the cost of extending time, and putting more resources and putting more work into it, and kind of having that much amount of room taken away for error. You have no room for error if you do that much developmental delaying, especially with promises going left and right. It's just hard with next gen, especially now next gen has this whole new level of of expectation, and I honestly feel like it's gonna be hard. Even with delays, I just don't see a video game being perfect. I don't care who you are. If you've played any video game, especially online games, for the past 3 or 4 years, you know that patches have to come. You cannot ever anticipate the amount of server stress, the amount of players, what players are going to do to break the game, how they're going to find people are looking for glitches. All that stuff is going to be found out the day of, day one, and further on, you're going to be patching stuff. That's why most games are online based in some way. That's just what it is. Now, let me be honest with you. I hope that this doesn't become a norm, and it's more so they just give you a release date that's so realistic to them that they don't have to give us, like, let's say it's November 10th and it's really next year mid-February. Like, just start off with our games coming out in a year and a half or something. Like, start off like that, and it's better to backtrack. Be like, you know, if you get to a point, you could schedule up an early release. That's better than extending it. And I feel like you don't have to deal with the stress of the community going crazy because the expectation is something. Nobody's gonna press you. Like, for example, I know like Grand Theft Auto does this perfectly. You know, they give no freaking release day until it just happens. You know what I'm saying? And they wait so long. That's why their game is so polished, and that's why it's so popular, because their delays were kind of pre-installed with their whole scheduling plan. They gave themselves the ability to have some kind of method to release when they needed it to be, you know. And I think that's just something that a lot of the game developers just need to take from Rockstar and kind of appreciate, that they know how to release something without having delays, without having the kind of issues that a lot of these developers have, you know what I'm saying? And I honestly feel like what it really comes down to is it's just the player expectation is so high nowadays, to the point where you have to feel like, hey man, let's give them some slack. There's a million other games to focus on in the meantime. And while you do that and you give them that benefit of doubt, these developers need to kind of have a game plan for this and kind of look into situations. Granted, COVID was something we cannot avoid. You did not in a million years see this coming. So 2077 is pretty much safe. Cyberpunk, you're good. We understand that. I'm just saying, for the future, I truly feel like game delaying is good if you have to do it, but it shouldn't be something that is accepted just because, you know, you feel your game is that advantageous and stuff. I kind of feel like you're better off just giving an expectation that your game's going to take a while to make. Take the time you need and release a product that you want, instead of money hungry trying to jump into a release window. Like, kind of plan all that stuff out before you even waste your time telling the community to kind of expect something that you know in your heart is being pushed, and you're going to risk messing up the first impression of a game. You don't want to do that, you know. So it's crazy, because whenever I think of game delaying, I just kind of imagine like the Division game, since I keep bringing it up because it's like one of my favorite games of all time. If they would have taken the approach that Cyberpunk did, how different a game's lifespan would be if you really take the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes games take forever and they still have some kind of mess up. But at the end of the day, the way you want to look at it, dude, is you still want to realize that it's better to do as much as you can while you can, instead of worrying about what the community is going to say or how much of money you're going to make on it. If you make a great product, you're going to get great results. I feel like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be huge because of how much extra work that they're putting into it to make it what they want it to be, instead of pushing out with the community. And I think they're kind of riding that now, not to a point where they're kind of abusing it, but it is what it is. So that's kind of my insight on it. I don't think delaying games is necessarily bad. I think it's necessary if you have to, but it shouldn't be normal. It shouldn't be something that we kind of deal with all the time, because then nobody's going to take release dates seriously. It's probably better if you just don't give a release date. Just say freaking fall 2020 and don't give a date and just leave it like that, you know, versus a specific day, because people are going to take off work, people are going to do this and try to, you know, schedule their time. I know it's not really that important because you shouldn't be taking off work for a video game that's going to be there all day, but some people really plan around this kind of stuff, and those are the real people who are going to be investing into your product. So I think that you got to take that in consideration, no matter how crazy it sounds. Some people really put time aside to play your game, and you need to have that like on mark. You know what I'm saying? So it's better to give them an expectation that they know they can plan for, especially content creators and people who actually help sell your game for you. You need to put them in position to do so, you know, and it also puts the game in a better position, puts it in a better light, and allows people to kind of enjoy what it was truly meant to be and not a half product because you forced it out. You know what I'm saying? It's very rare that the original plan gets scrapped and you kind of just ride with it and becomes better. Like Fortnite's the perfect example of just luck, because Fortnite was not meant to be a battle royale that was huge. Like it was rushed, and it was rushed to a point where battle royale came out and it just took over, and they kind of just scrapped the whole story mode aspect, and they got lucky that it blew up. But that's just so rare, and that's like probably the first and the only time I've ever truly seen that. Otherwise, like it would have been catastrophic had Fortnite not had that blow up with the battle royale. The fact that they pushed out their game onto live servers, that was incomplete to where the point that you beat the game in like 35 minutes, and there was literally, it sounded like there was no content left. You stopped at like level 6 and you see like 6 or 7 more like platforms to move to, but it says not completed or not ready. Like you don't want to be in that position as a game developer. So I don't know, let's talk about it. Drop the comments. What do you guys think? Do you guys think delaying games is a good thing? Do you think that it's a healthy thing? Do you think that it should be a norm? Or do you guys feel like you're just being ruthless and you just feel like, you know, there's no excuse for that? They get the money for it. They're multi-million, sometimes billion-dollar corporations that they should have the resources and the people for it. So let me know in the comments below. Drop me a like and stay tuned for some more videos. It's been real. Your boy is out.